Hey there and welcome. So today we're going to tackle a massive question, one we all think about: city or country? And it's so much more than just picking a spot on a map. It's really about figuring out where you feel, well, truly at home. So let's jump right in and see what that looks like for you.
All right, to get things rolling, just imagine for a second. If you could live absolutely anywhere in the world, what's the view from your window? Are you looking out at a bustling street full of energy and cafes? Or do you see rolling green hills and a huge open sky? Whatever that picture is, just hold on to it as we go through this. So, here it is, the big question. City or country? Where would you really want to live for the long haul? But here's the most important part. Why? I mean, we can all have a preference, right? But let's really get into the nitty-gritty reasons behind that choice.
And if you're thinking, how do I answer that? Well, here are a few things to chew on. Think about work opportunities. What about your family's needs? What kind of daily lifestyle are you after? And, the practical stuff, cost of living and just plain convenience. Those are all great starting points.
Okay, let's move into our second section. We're going to get a little more personal now, shifting from the ideal to the real. This is all about what you see and experience right where you are.
All right, think about where you live right now. I mean, really think about it. Would you describe it as beautiful or maybe not so great? And here's the fun part. If you had a magic wand and could instantly make 2 improvements, what would they be? More parks? Quieter neighbors? What's on your list?
Okay, let's put them head to head. When you boil it all down, what are the biggest lifestyle differences between living in the city and living out in the country?
Yeah, so here are some of the classic trade-offs, right?
In the city, you often get that faster pace, tons of services, and great transportation. But in the country, maybe you have closer relationships with people, you're surrounded by nature, and there's just a different kind of safety. Looking at these 2 lists, which one is calling your name?
Okay, before we go to the next question, let's talk about a super important word: stereotype. It's basically a fixed and usually unfair idea we have about a certain type of person or thing. It's something we all need to be mindful of.
So, keeping that idea of stereotypes in mind, let's think about this. How are city people and country people usually described? You know the cliches, right? City folks are rushed and impersonal. Country folks are slow and simple. Which of these things do you think are maybe fair observations and which are just, well, totally unfair stereotypes?
All right, on to section 3. Why people move. Because let's face it, most of us don't stay in one place our entire lives. Let's look at what pushes and pulls us to new places. This has been a huge trend for, well, forever. People moving from the countryside into big cities. So why? What is it about the city that just pulls people in like a magnet?
And a lot of the time, it comes down to these 3 biggies: more jobs, better schools, and just a more exciting lifestyle. Now, look at that list. If you had to choose just one, which of those is the most important for you?
But hold on, it's not just a one-way street. Plenty of people are doing the exact opposite. They're leaving the city for the countryside or the suburbs. So what's that all about? Why trade the big city lights for something quieter?
Well, here are some of the top reasons. People want a quieter pace of life, right? Or they need more space for their family. And sometimes it's just about the lower cost of living. Can you think of anyone you know who did this? What was their story?
Okay, now here's a really tough one, and it's a huge deal for anyone with kids. When it comes to a child's growth and education, which is better, the city or the country?
And honestly, there's no easy answer here. It's all a balancing act.
Cities have more schools, tons of different opportunities, and more kids to hang out with. But the country? It's got all that open space, maybe feels safer, and kids get to connect with nature. It really just comes down to what a family wants most for their children. All right, we've arrived at our final section, My Home and Dream. We've talked about all the big ideas. Now let's bring it right back to you and your world. First up, just a quick definition of two words we're going to use. An advantage, that's something that gives you a leg up. And a disadvantage, that's something that makes things a bit tougher. Okay, time to get really specific about where you are right now. What are the top 3 absolute best things, the advantages of your current home? And on the flip side, what are the top 3 disadvantages? Let's be real, every single place has both. Now, let's dig a little deeper. Those advantages you just thought of, how do they actually help you in your daily life? With your job, your health, your happiness, and maybe more importantly, what about those disadvantages? Is there anything you can do to kind of lessen their impact? All right, let's have some fun. Let's dream for a second. What does your ideal, perfect, dream home look like? Where is it? Get a good picture in your head? Okay, now snap back to reality. If you are actually going to buy a home, what are your top 3 most important concerns? The real world stuff. You know, for a lot of people, it really comes down to these 3 things: price, location, and safety. Is that the same for you? Or maybe you'd put something else in your top 3, like being close to family or having a big yard. What are your must-haves? So, after all of this, thinking about bustling cities and quiet countrysides, our real-life needs and our biggest dreams, let's end on this one final question. I want you to forget about the building, forget about the location for a second. To you, what is the single most important quality that truly makes a place feel like home?
Join Beyond Norm Input-Output Training, the best way to master English speaking and writing in Taiwan.